check one too. You know it's not showing the intro. Always technical difficulties.
What is up, everybody? It is your boy, Gaming Forte, DPS Podcast, episode 113. And you know what? Actually, it's your boy. And as you can see, we had a black screen in the beginning, and everybody in the chat was like, Mitchie was like, this is Forte's fault. I already know it. It's nobody but Forte's fault. But we're gonna have a great show, nevertheless.
As long as you acknowledge it.
Yeah, we're gonna have a great show, nevertheless, and it's been a while. Appreciate all you guys. Let us know in the chat what you've been up to. But with that being said, I wanted to introduce the man, the myth, the legend, the man of many slaps, the man who gameplay you see on the screen, because your boy's been working so much that he ain't even really got a chance to play games, so he had to give me some gameplay to do it. His name is Slow Mo, Aurelius Slap. Slamonius,
Aurelius.
whatever. Yeah, Aurelius. You are Aurelius now. I just upgraded you, bro. How are you doing today, man? And what's been up with you?
Man, I've been good, man. I've been it's been a busy week for myself, but I am happy to say that I've got a lot of my work kind of like out of the way, and with work, things are going to die down a whole lot because it's the end of the year and there's not a lot of new projects starting up and stuff like that. So I am in a position where I'll be able to do more content, stream more, and all kinds of stuff. I got some ideas for some videos to upload. I've been playing a lot of games, and I kind of feel like instead of tweeting out about the games that I'm playing, I'm gonna actually show footage. Kind of go back to what I used to do with impression videos.
Yes.
Maybe some thorough, comprehensive reviews coming with a few of these games. More than likely, if I do that, it will be with Chained Echoes, which I'm absolutely in love with right now. I love that game so much; it's so awesome. Might be the best RPG I played this year.
Oh.
It's like a love letter to old school Japanese RPGs. Like I knew it from the moment when they first opened up the game, and its beginning mirrored the beginning of Chrono Trigger, where Chrono's mother, like, it's like complete darkness, and then Chrono's mother is like, Chrono, wake up, wake up. And he opens his eyes because she opened the blinds to bring the light in. It literally starts just like that. And I'm like, okay, right then and there, I knew the developer was like me.
Right.
Like, appreciated the classic Japanese RPGs from Square back when they were much better at making RPGs, in my opinion. And then it actually transitioned to because it turns out it's just a dream, and then he wakes up and he's on this airship about to go into battle. And like that whole part, especially with how it ends, I don't want to spoil it, but it mirrored the beginning of Final Fantasy VI, where Biggs and Wedge are traveling to this mining town to deal with a situation, and how that turned out. So it's like it's just so good. It's so good. I like the systems that are in play, the characters they introduced. I'm enjoying the heck out of it. I'm also been playing Crisis Core, as you know, that's on the screen. Um, I'm a. I guess we could talk about this real briefly. I also played The Witcher 3 next gen update, which on PC had like a huge refresh on PC, which is busted because it's CD Projekt Red and they don't know how to do anything that doesn't, end up being far too demanding for 99% of the PCs that are out there. But I'm playing it, just testing it out. I optimized the settings for my rig, see how it is. And I'm just playing it at that point. It was like I'm playing it like 4K, roughly 60 frames per second with optimized settings and everything. And I realized why I don't like this game. I realized why I don't like The Witcher 3. Don't like Zelda. I generally don't like RPGs that have a specific kind of game design. And what I realized is that I love the RPGs that have a party.
Mm-hmm.
That have that group dynamic, personality clashes, a group of characters with different classes and how they work together, and you like organizing your party to be balanced or to take advantage of certain things and using them in certain situations. It's like that's what I had with Chrono Trigger, all the old Final Fantasy games, Xenogears. It's like those older RPGs, they all had that.
Right.
Not saying that because I enjoyed playing Cyberpunk the second time. I don't like The Witcher though. And in Final Fantasy Crisis Core is you're solo. You're just Zack running around doing these missions, and I do like the story because it's Final Fantasy story, but it's just not what I prefer, So it's just like I think I figured that out about myself because for years it's like I have this disdain of like Bethesda RPGs for multiple reasons, right? The combat's awful, but like the things, and I don't really care about sandbox RPGs where you're just all doing all kinds of stuff, forget the main narrative, but it's like it's the fact that you're just by yourself. And to me, that's boring because, like, who are you supposed to talk to? The innkeeper at a town or something, or your quest master. You should be talking with people who are with you, who have the same like ideals and the same quest as you, the same goals. And this is the reason why, like, when I played the Outer Worlds and I loved it, and people was like, "But you hate Bethesda RPGs." I'm like, "That's not Bethesda, that's Obsidian." And if you play it, you're always outside for maybe the first 30 minutes of the game. You were always with a group.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think I realized that by myself. But man, I've just been playing a lot of games, man. Enjoying a lot of the games that I've been playing, and hopefully I will do a little bit more streaming and a little bit more content for you guys, kind of like break down some of these things that I always have in my mind. I'll be sitting around and be like, man, I should make a video about the very thing that I'm monologuing in my mind, and then I just end up like not doing it. So, what
No.
about you, man? What you been up to?
Yeah, man, that's actually really good. I've been kind of theory crafting different scenarios, especially with the podcast, because I am jealous that you could have these robust thoughts and conversations about the games that you're playing, and I kind of want to feel that way too a little bit. So what the goal is for me going forward, and I want to make this, we kind of already do it at the beginning anyways, but you just have way more to talk about because you play way more stuff. I want
Mhm.
to I want to start the show with just a game, like any game, doesn't matter what game it is, but something that recently just released over the course of like the week of the podcast that we between the two podcasts from switching channels and stuff. And I want to be able to like bring that conversation and use that as like a talking point and say, introduce people to stuff that they may ain't even thought about it, just give a game a try. You already kind of do this, but this is my way of saying, hey, it's gonna be more of a two-way conversation on that. I might have played this game that you ain't get a chance to play. And even if you only put like an hour to 45 minutes into it, it's still just good to get some type of thoughts on something that nobody else probably even thought about playing. It could be something that's one of those Covenant games like Elden Ring that just happened to come out that you put 45 minutes. It could also be a game that was in Game Pass that just released for $10 or something. So that's kind of what my goal is, because I definitely do want to get back to playing a bunch of games. Cause I was like just looking at my gamer score and I'm looking at my achievements and stuff. And I was like, man, there used to be a time when I used to play everything. And I think just over the course of just life, you just kind of settle into certain genres and certain genres appeal to you more than others. And then you just kind of stick in that lane. I kind of want to get out of that a little bit, especially with the conversation we're going to talk about later, because it's just, kind of just become a slave to the things that you're playing and stuff instead of the games just being enjoyable because they're just enjoyable and trying other things.
Mhm.
So that's kind of what my thoughts. I've literally been thinking about this for like the last couple of weeks and stuff, but I just ain't had time to really act on it. But that's kind of what I've been doing outside of just playing just random stuff. I went back and I played a little bit of high on life this
Oh, you
morning.
did?
Oh yeah, I
Okay,
did.
so we can talk about that
Yeah,
because I've been
I did.
playing.
I played about 30 minutes of it before I had to go to work this morning. And I was like about probably 40 minutes of it. And I was like, oh boy, if you don't like certain things, you ain't gonna like this game too much.
That's what I said on Twitter. I said that if you aren't a fan of Rick and Morty comedy, like that style of humor, then you're probably going to be really annoyed with
Uh-huh.
High on Life. Like the actual gameplay is not strong enough to overcome the overwhelming amount of Rick and Morty that's going on. And I'm
No.
not saying it's as funny as Rick and Morty is, but it's the same like style. It's literally the same guys doing all the voices, the
Hmm.
cadence of speech from Morty, the character Morty, the teenage boy is the same cadence of speech of your first gun, and he's never shutting up. He just talks and talks and talks. You pause the game, you come out of pause. He's like, what are you doing? Why are you pausing the game? And it's like it's nonstop. Some of it lands, some of it's funny, some of it isn't though. And I think that's because I'm not like I think Rick and Morty's cool. I remember watching the first season and then planning on finishing the second season, but never actually doing so. And it's just because it ain't really for me.
Mm.
But it's like the gunplay is mediocre. I don't know how you feel about that.
I'd play better. Definitely
Yeah,
played better.
I've played worse. I've played Crossfire X. It ain't that
Yeah,
bad.
yeah. Maybe that's a better analogy. I played worse.
Yeah, but it's also not good. And
Yeah.
it's like the fact that like you have this pistol that you're using primarily. You do get a different
You know
gun
what
later. I
feels
got
better than that feels? I don't know
what?
if you ever played them. Did you ever play the Plants vs Zombie games? Garden
No,
Warfare?
you've asked me this like 700 times.
Oh
I have
man.
never played those games.
Dog. Plants vs Zombie Garden Warfare feels better than that. And I think the shooting was an afterthought in that game. Well, I won't even say because I think that's the main mechanic in it, but the fact that they were able to pull off sunflowers shooting guns from their foreheads, it was really good. So I'm not it's not apples to apples because they do have gun models that they're, representing into the game, but it just doesn't the act of shooting doesn't feel all that great.
I also don't like that. Like it's all single fire shooting.
Yeah,
Maybe
that
that's
too.
part of it
That's
too.
probably too. It's nothing with
Um,
automatic gunfire or anything.
yeah, it's not very. it- It's it's just not that good. It's just not that good gunplay, and so you can't really rely on, hey, look, it's fun to play because it's fun to shoot things.
Yeah.
It's got kind of like that verticality. You get this knife that you can also like use to grapple to higher areas, and you need to do that by the way the game is designed later on.
Hmm.
And in addition to um I think I sent you High on Life gameplay.
You did. That's why I was literally switching to. You
I
definitely.
also added because you got Spider-Man as the topic. I threw some Spider-Man gameplay
Oh, I'll
in
grab
the
it.
all right. Um what was I about to say? Yeah. So I was playing it earlier today.
That house looked dirty too.
Yeah, it is a nasty house. Um the funniest the most ridiculous this is where it's like some of the humor really lands, right? So I'm playing earlier today. I finished the second bounty. I walk into the house and the alien that's like basically has planted himself on your living room couch. He's watching a movie called Tammy and the T-Rex. You ever heard this movie?
No, what is that?
Tammy and the T-Rex is a 90s low budget movie featuring none other than Denise Richards
Oh
and
man,
Paul Walker.
what?
Yeah, that's what caught my attention because I'm listening to the main character's sister and that alien argue back and forth, and I look at the TV and I'm like, is that Denise Richards? And it can't be Denise Richards. Is that Paul Walker? That is Paul Walker.
Man, we can't be
And I'm
doing.
and I literally sat there and watched this movie
Can't be doing Paul Walker like this, man. Rest in
for
peace.
30 minutes. I assume the rights for this very cheap piece of crap movie lapsed and allowed them to throw that in there. But it's just like the best terrible movie you've ever seen.
Right.
And there's a fight in there where Paul Walker is fighting this bully, which is Denise Richards' ex boyfriend. And then they both grab each other's dicks, and it's just like, why? And it's just like, and they're like, you let go. And I'm like, I can't believe now I see why they put this in here, because this is the most ridiculous movie I've ever seen. And it makes sense why it's in this really ridiculous game. But it's like this part here where the door, like the two, I guess, like alarm system of the door to the slums is like asking you which one of them is the sexiest. And this literally goes on for like 2 minutes, and I do not care.
He overstays his welcome after the first 30 seconds.
Yeah, there's a lot of that where it's just like, bro, can you end this entire conversation? And it's just no, they won't end the conversation. You have to see it. I can't skip the dialogue.
Oh, I didn't even realize that you can't skip it. So they make you, they
They
torture
make you,
you.
they torture you with this, and it's just, it's like at this point, I'm on the third bounty. I have a shotgun. who I think is voiced by that black guy from Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a knife that's psychotic and always wants to stab people.
Always wants to stab people. Like the knife will make me laugh. I
Yeah.
will say the
In,
knife.
in, in addition to this pistol, that it is literally Morty from Rick and Morty, and it's just like visually, it's okay. There's some area like this area right here isn't the best looking, but there I wish I would yeah, JB Smooth, that's his name. Thanks, Shaq. JB Smooth is the shotgun. Um, there are there are parts like this part here isn't the best looking in the game,
Mm-hmm.
but the very next area where you do the second bounty is beautiful. The colors, the fauna of the environment. Yes, I did kill that little boy. He was annoying. And yeah, like the little boy would call me fresh meat like 5 million times. So I was like, I'm shooting him. Um and later on, you actually meet that little boy's mother who says he deserves it. That actually was pretty funny. Um, but it's just like I said, it's like some of that stuff hits and some of it misses. But I'm gonna finish it. I'm gonna finish it because
Not that
it's
long, I
got
hear.
it's not that long. It's maybe like 13, 14 hours, I think. It's a very simple gameplay loop. You're trying to take out this intergalactic crime syndicate that sells basically they their whole thing is that they are in the drug trade, and they found that humans, if you eat them or something,
Mm-hmm.
can get you high, aliens high. And so now we're like a hot commodity and they're invading Earth. And so you're trying to stop them. And basically you're taking on these bounties to take down like the top people in the criminal organization. And you just do that just over and over again with a lot of like really like clearly like planned set pieces of like almost like the game was planned around having certain moments there. Like, hey, we got to
Mm-hmm.
have this moment in here. So let's just like create situations that get us to this scenario.
Right.
But it's I'm gonna finish it. I'm about I mean, I don't know. I did watch I don't know how many hours I have in this game already. I did watch Tammy and the T-Rex. So and I was told on because I posted pictures of it online
Oh my
on
gosh.
Twitter, and people were telling me there are other movies that are in there you can watch too. So who knows, right? But it's a decent game. I'm glad it's in Game Pass because I think it's overpriced. It's like a $60 price game, which I don't think is worth that. If it was like a $30 game, I would say yeah, get it and have fun with it if you really like the Rick and Morty humor. But $60, I think that's a bit much.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun, man. I will say the aesthetic does it does overstay its welcome. The game is fun. It's good to know that you said the environments do get better. Cause I was about to say, looking at some of the environments that you were just in, I was like, man, this don't look as good as the trailers. But if it does, it gets a lot brighter and stuff, and the color
Yeah.
palette changes. That's a good
I
thing. And
Yeah, I really wish I would have recorded what I played earlier today. The second biome, I guess you could call it,
yeah,
where we take on the second bounty, absolutely beautiful looking. Yeah, it's just like the whole like area with the way the plants are and the colors, and they got like these little Care Bear looking
Care Bear share.
species that like are not Care Bear like at all in their personalities. They are very foul mouthed and all kinds of stuff. But it's the whole second biome really like if the second biome was much like this one, I probably wouldn't be sure if I was going to finish it. But the second one actually was pretty good, and so I'll definitely finish this.
The one thing I will say is I like how they take the gun like when you're in conversation pieces. He doesn't hold it like a gun. He holds it like he's cradling an apple, so he can
Yeah,
talk.
so you can see what he's
You can
saying.
see
Yeah,
what he's
yeah.
saying.
His facial expressions when people talk and stuff like that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I actually like when they do that, but it's cool. I mean, the game is fun. I mean, great, good thing. I mean, I would. This is a game I actually was thinking about buying, but the fact that it was in Game Pass, I didn't have to, and I'm never gonna, go against not having to pay for something if I ain't got to. But
Right.
with that, man, other than that, man, let's get into the first topic, and I definitely want to start it off with you and your thoughts on Spider-Man, because you beat every Spider-Man, you did all the DLCs. I think you platinum both of them too, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I did platinum both of them, and I beat remastered. Didn't 100% it, but I beat remastered on PC, and I'm currently playing through probably about halfway through Miles Morales on PC.
Gotcha.
So yeah, you could probably say I really enjoy the Insomniac Spider-Man
You
games.
do. So, news did come out recently that Insomniac announced that Marvel Spider-Man 2 will officially launch in the fall of 2023. Now, of course, we don't know what's going to entail in this game. We don't know anything that we're going to see in or anything like that. We don't know what the crossovers and stuff and the enemies or any of that type of stuff is going to be just yet. So, but my question for you is, knowing that this game is coming next year, so that means a good amount of the game is already done. What are some things that you are looking forward to seeing them improve on? And what are some things that you want to see differently? And last thing, what is something that you want them to stay away from that you played in the last Spider-Mans?
Well, I would say since playing Miles Morales, I think Miles Morales' combat is so much better than Spider-Man's combat. They need to find some way to kind of jazz up Peter's combat now. Peter doesn't have as dynamic of powers as Miles does. Like he doesn't have the cloaking to go invisible. He doesn't have the bioelectricity to kind of do the venom strike stuff. Um, so all that additional stuff they added in the Miles combat really made his combat more fun than Peter's. I think even though we've seen in the trailers that Peter definitely is not Peter, Miles is in Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
I'm thinking they're probably going to find some way to keep it's Spider-Man's game. So, well, Peter's game. So they're going to find some way to keep the focus on Peter. Might be sidelining Miles. Maybe you might play as Miles a little bit, but primarily focusing on Peter. Maybe Miles is put out of commission and Peter's got to like do it all on his own because it looks like he's fighting Venom and it looks like he's fighting Craven the Hunter. And then you got the added, spoiler if you didn't finish the game, but that's on you. The game's 4 years old now, but the extra cutscene at the end of Spider-Man Remastered or Spider-Man 2018 is that Harry Osborn never went overseas. That he's got some kind of disease that Norman is trying to cure, but he's like in this tank that Mary Jane nearly found when in one of her terrible missions in Spider-Man 2018, and I'm assuming that Green Goblin of some a Green Goblin of some sort is going to be in this game too as a surprise, villain. I just think combat wise, they need to find some way to make Peter's combat even better than it was in 2018. I thought it was good, but I also didn't think it was a challenge. I actually kind of feel like neither of these games are a challenge. That I do kind of agree with Pixel in the chat. It does need better boss fights. The boss fights in 2018 I thought were lackluster for the most part. Uh, I can't think of any boss fight that was really like, oh man, that was great. But they weren't awful. They just weren't like amazing. They need to have an over the top amazing boss fight in this. So those are the kind of things that I want to see like improved or like built upon. Like they already got a great foundation. Just build upon it and make it better. Uh Something that I think they need to completely do away with is just any mission that has Mary Jane in it. as you controlling Mary Jane,
Oh,
because
absolutely.
she's awful. First of all, she's awful as a girlfriend in this game, which seems to be a theme with Mary Jane, because like the original Spider-Man movies, she's terrible. Like, sorry, but that's like, man, she's awful in those movies. But in this game, her like in 2018, like this insistence that she is Peter Parker's partner. No, you're not. You're just a regular woman with no abilities. What are you talking about? Um, her putting herself into harm's way. Don't tell me what to do, Peter. I can handle myself, Peter. Peter, help me. Peter, save me. Like, duh. Of course you're gonna need to be saved. Like, cut it the freak out, right? By the way, that was a glitch at this part here. For some reason, I couldn't move, and they just shot me up. And I was just like, and then once the game reloaded, um, I'm just like taking out some of them, and they weren't even responding. It was like some weird glitch that had happened there, but that's like the only time that's ever happened. Anyway,
I
um,
like how Slovo was like, "Listen, I died, but it wasn't my fault."
yeah, I just like I had to go,
I just
like
want
I
people
didn't
to
even
know
move.
that I didn't
Like,
die. It's like
like
what?
I didn't move at all. It was just like why can't I move? I don't understand what's happening. Anyway, but no, I think if you want to have missions where it's not just Peter doing stuff, have Miles. Like you I didn't even mind Miles's missions in 2018 when he didn't have powers, because they were like Miles wasn't out there seeking, being stupid and seeking danger. He was like the first one is the bombing at his father's ceremony
Mhm.
that like he didn't have any control over. The second one is when he is trying to get to Feast, the like homeless shelter they got, and he's like nearly arrested by those soldiers. And then the last one, he's like getting antibiotics to save sick people. Like
Mhm.
it's like it made sense in context of everything, and it was fine. It was cool. Uh, just kind of continuing that theme on. Let 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 Miles do those side missions, and then maybe, because again, you don't want Miles to overshadow Peter. Make it so it's like it's more of him using his invisibility to do stealth and to get into certain places and stuff like that. Like helping Peter out in certain ways that don't basically make people go, man, kind of wish I was using Miles right now and hitting people with venom punches and launching them in the air with
Right.
electricity and stuff, right? So I mean those are just my thoughts with it. I think Insomniac is going to kill it as usual. I'm not shocked at all that they are already ready to drop this game so soon, because I've said this before and I'll say it again, that they are Sony's best studio, and that they're not the best because they have the highest quality games. Their games have never been rated higher than, say, Sony Santa Monica's games or Naughty Dog's, but they're the best because it takes Sony Santa Monica and Naughty Dog a certain
Five
period of time to
plus
release that
years.
level of quality, and Insomniac will drop high quality games, like 2 or 3 high quality games in the same period of time it takes them to make one. So I find that to be infinitely more uh um
Well,
important.
availability is the best
Yeah.
quality that you can have. So nothing
Right,
is
right.
nothing better than availability.
Right. And that makes them so much more valuable
Yeah.
to what Sony needs. They're always giving them content to drop.
Hmm.
Like shoot, like Xbox could use an Insomniac. Like they always have content to go.
No,
Um,
I agree with that. I just think that in general, it just ultimately keeps coming back to how does this studio keep doing this? Um, it's like they were immune to, the COVID controversy and stuff and everything that was going on. They still release games. They had a game at launch for PS5. They had and that was what, two years after they released their original title, Marvel Spider-Man. Within 2 years, so basically within 4 years, which is still faster than what Naughty Dog did with Last of Us Part 2, kind of online with God of War Ragnarok from 2018, because it's been 4 years. So you're actually there will be a year behind. So for them to release 3 high quality games in 5 years, where it took, you only got one from Santa Monica, like you said, one from Naughty Dog. I think that's always a good thing, and I'm just looking forward to see what they actually do with it. Me personally, I'm more looking forward to Wolverine because I am a huge Wolverine fan. So I think
and that's going to be a departure from what they've done in the past.
Yeah, so that's going to be the one that I'm definitely 100% in. But just this, it also just bodes well for that game too, to see that, once they get a formula down, they can kind of like work and get, more and more content out. It's almost like a games and service content. It's like, okay, we're gonna continue, we're gonna give you full-fledged games, but we also have a model in place where we can pump out more content even faster. But instead of just giving it to you over the course of like that year and giving you DLC and stuff, we're going to actually turn those experiences into full-fledged games. And guess what? If those full-fledged games, if those experiences end up being 13, 14, 15 hours, that's all anybody can really ask for. It doesn't matter if they're like changing up the environments and stuff like that. I mean, it's a Spider-Man game. You're pretty much going to be flying around New York City like you always have, and only thing you can really do is just make it look prettier and then make the combat look better. And like you said, for most people, don't play with Mary J. Watson, stuff like that, and we'll be good. And I do like your one opinion about updating Peter Parker Spider-Man for the combat and stuff. I mean, yeah. I do think that there is a reason that Miles Morales is the way he is, because that is built for that character. That is like in the comic books, in the lore, and all that other type of stuff. But there is some things they can do with Peter Parker Spider-Man to kind of spruce up that combat a little bit more. Because after you get a taste of seeing what Miles Morales can do, you're just like, Peter Parker just feels lame at a certain point.
Yeah, it's not as, and it's like I definitely feel it going back to, because going back to Spider-Man Remastered. I remember when the remaster came out on PS5, I played it a little bit. Actually, I played through it again on PS5, and then just kind of refreshed my memory before playing Miles Morales for the first time on PS5, and then just like. So I literally went back to back and saw the difference, and just like, oh man, like Miles' combat so much better. Yeah. But it makes sense because it's like they're building off of what they did with Spider-Man 2018. Yeah. Now it's like they're gonna have to top that again, but they gotta do it with a hero who doesn't have all the abilities that Miles has. And that's no shade to Peter, because Peter technically is, here's put my nerd hat on. His spider sense is better.
Yeah.
And he's actually technically stronger than Miles. Yeah. So he does have like advantages over him, but like, how do you incorporate that in the combat?
It's not something that you see and feel. I mean, you can see it. You can't really feel it in a game sense. So how do you add more weight to that? How do you add? I get what you're saying. I mean, it's kind of hard to. His abilities isn't the most translatable to a video game compared to like Miles. Miles is, particle explosions and stuff. Yeah,
literally new moves,
right?
Or new tools that you get for Miles. And I thought they in Miles Morales, they did a very cool thing where like. So there's this new energy called New Form that was created, and it's like a form of energy, but it's very unstable, and so that's like kind of like the danger of it there, and part of the reason why a lot catalyst of a lot of the things that go on in the story in Miles Morales, which is a very basic story. I think the story for 2018 was better,
Oh
but
yeah,
um,
probably so.
but his venom, his bioelectricity, is it like it destabilized the new form, and it actually like well a lot of the technology that the Tinkerer was creating, his electricity destroys it. So it made him like the perfect Spider-Man for this situation, you know. So they actually found a way to incorporate it into the story that made him his discovery of his new powers and his use of them to be, you know, very very apt for the time. That said, like they're going to need to find a way to make the story for Spider-Man 2 be more geared towards Peter. And it doesn't have to be with his abilities or anything, but just you make it geared towards Peter where only Peter can do this, you know?
Right.
Because in Miles Morales, only Miles could have saved Harlem. And so this needs to be a Peter story is what I mean. Like even though Miles is there, they just can't let Miles overshadow Peter.
Yeah, and Pixel Big G basically came able to go. He said, just giving them a wider range of gadgets to distinguish him from Miles. Um, Especially since he's really really deeper into scientific side, the tech side, and everything.
Yeah.
You
I
could,
mean they made Miles kind of a tech head too in this game, but a lot of the like he doesn't really like a lot of the tech that he has in this game is tech that Peter made for him.
right, exactly.
Yeah. So it's like yeah, I agree with that. Make it so like he's really deep into the tech side of things, and that could really like make his combat really sing. I see
Exactly.
that.
I agree. Shout out to Blade X with the $2 super chat. He said, "What's good, everybody? I'm here." Shout out to you, Pixel Bit. I mean, Blade X. Also shout out to Big Mike up in the chat. He said, "I think I'm going to wait on Hogwarts Legacy. That game looks mid."
Oh man.
Man,
I actually still
a lot of
I'm
people
hyped
are,
for Hogwarts.
dog, a
Yo, I'm
lot of people are falling off the Hogwarts train ever since
did
that
they come
late.
out with something
They
recently that
came
like
out
'cause
with
I
that.
haven't
When's the last time you seen gameplay? They showed like I want to
it's
say
been a while.
it was like late last month. They did it wasn't PlayStation, it was they like Hogwarts themselves. I forget the name of the studio that's making it. They
Mhm.
actually put out another Vidoc where they're going over stuff in the game. And ever since that day, people was like, I don't like this game. I had people literally come
Really?
cancel their
Okay,
reserves on. They
I
just didn't
gotta
like it.
I gotta watch it. I gotta watch it because I'm still hyped. I mean, not necessarily hyped. I think I probably when I first saw it, I was like, "Oh, that's interesting. That looks
Yeah.
pretty cool." And then when I saw the first time they showed gameplay, I was like, "Eh." And
Right.
then
That's what
later
I was
on,
like, eh.
I warmed up to it. So now I'm kind of like, yeah, I do think I want like I'm looking forward to playing it, but you know, it's I'm not a huge Harry Potter fan anyway, so it's like big Harry Potter fans. It could be a shiny, magical turd, and they're gonna play it regardless. But I'm not that guy. I don't need it to be. I don't know. I'll check out what they showed and see what's up. Big Mike said they showed some videos yesterday, so yeah, I'll look into it
Oh, they showed some
tomorrow
more
so I
stuff
can see what's
yesterday
going
too.
on.
Yeah, some people, there's a lot of people that's like, I don't know about this game anymore. Shout out to the homeboy Gaz up in the chat, man. What's going on? Shout out to Game On Daily.
Okay.
Go over there and check those amazing dudes, him and Asa. They do a great job over there with the Game On Daily show. Always great to have you guys around and have you here, bro. Outside of that, man, yeah, Spider-Man next year. Wolverine, what do you think? 2024, 25?
Wolverine. I'm going to be conservative and say 2025. Even
Okay.
though Insomniac is, as we mentioned before, they're a machine. Like nobody delivers content at the clip and of high quality that they do. So it could be 2024. They first showed that last year though, right?
Yeah, last year.
So
They didn't
what
even
they showed
show
us was a
they
teaser. It
showed
was like
us
they didn't show gameplay or
they
anything
showed us a
whatsoever.
title. It
So
was a title screen.
right. So
It wasn't as good as Obsidian's title screen, though. I will say that.
Obsidian's trailers are
Their
excellent. I
Obsidian's
love the
title
humor in
screen
them
was
and how
great.
they can make fun of themselves and make fun of what they're doing. Like when they did the Outer Worlds 2 announcement trailer, it was like,
Right on
yeah,
time.
we're showing you absolutely nothing. None
we
of the
don't even
assets in the game are being shown right
we
now.
don't
It's
even
just
have a
like
face for the protagonist yet.
right, and it's literally like exactly because that's literally what all the hardcore gamers were saying. You ain't showing us anything. You ain't got nothing yet, and they're just admitting it. You know, they do the same thing with Grounded, which is pretty funny. So, but no, that Wolverine teaser just like I mean, it really didn't show us anything. It's just a bar and it was Wolverine. He's post whooping the crap out of everybody.
Right.
Like that's they showed nothing of gameplay. They showed nothing of just anything whatsoever. The story, who his villain's going to be, nothing. So we don't know. I say all that to say we don't know how far they are with Wolverine. So I would say to be conservative, 2025, just because not unlike Spider-Man with Ratchet and Clank, if you notice the weapon wheel or the utility wheel for Spider-Man, all of that was represented in previous Ratchet and Clank games. A lot of the verticality was also developed in Sunset Overdrive. So the part of the reason why Insomniac is so good at delivering content so quickly is because they're very good at adapting tools that they've already created for other games.
Hmm. That's true.
And they got a proprietary engine that is very easy on the hardware, and they're very good at readapting it and changing things to work for whatever, which that's not going to be as helpful in Wolverine because Wolverine should not be a very vertical hero. Like that's not how he rolls, it's
Right.
like it should be bloody, it should be visceral, it should be body parts being ripped off, decapitated, slashed off, that kind of stuff. It needs to be rated R or like the movie Logan kind of stuff. And with that, like they're gonna need to do some new things. So that might take a little bit longer than what they've done before. Shout out to Gaz with the what is that
$5 euro.
$5 euros. Spider-Man is overrated. This man out here.
You can't be you basically just hit some scar tissue on slow mo. You know Spider-Man's like one of his favorite PlayStation IPs.
Man, overrated.
Overrated. Oh, it's
That's pound. It's
pounds.
pounds, not
Oh,
euros. Well, it
pounds, not
doesn't
euros.
matter because Spider-Man's not overrated. We appreciate you though.
Thank you,
I
Gas.
by the way, check the drive again because I
Okay.
got you footage for the next topic.
Oh, look at you. Man, you play way too. When do you have time to sleep? Do you?
I don't
Matter of
know,
fact,
man.
do you sleep?
No, of course not.
Oh my god, it's terrible.
Yeah, but to be fair, that gameplay is super. I actually think you was super old, so
Yeah, it's
it's
probably
been
like,
a
oh,
while.
you just got stuff sitting on the hard drive somewhere, don't you?
Bruh, I have a 5 terabyte hard drive that just sits there with old gameplay. So yeah, look, I got
My
everything. Don't worry
God.
about
Shout out to Gaz again with the $5 Appreciate it, bro. Moving on to the next topic, we're gonna talk about Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider, no, Crystal Dynamic is doing work for everybody. They're owned by the Embracer Group now. They're helping the initiative make, Perfect Dark, they might as well be head on that studio, not that head on that game at this point right now.
Pretty
And
much.
and now it looks like Amazon is like, listen, Embracer owns you, but we're gonna basically publish the next Tomb Raider game. And this was announced pretty much today or yesterday. Amazon came out and said Tomb Raider is one of the most beloved IPs in the entertainment history. Amazon Games is committed to bringing players games of the highest quality from the best developers across a variety of platforms and genres. And we're honored by the opportunity to work with this story developer and franchise. Our team is incredibly excited about collaborating with the talented and visionary Crystal Dynamic team to bring the next chapter of Lara Croft saga to players around the world. It is Scott Amos, the head over at Crystal Dynamics, added to this, saying Crystal Dynamics has an extraordinary opportunity following our acquisition by Embracer to redefine what a publishing relationship is for Tomb Raider. Transformative and what is we are looking for. And with the Amazon games, we have found a team that shares our creative visions, ambitions, and values for Lara Croft's universe across a spectrum of possibilities. They're uniquely positioned to rewrite what publishing and developing collaborations are, and we're eager to forge this new path together, starting with building the biggest and best Tomb Raider game yet. And with this announcement, they announced that as of May of 2022, the entire franchise since 1996 has sold over 95 million copies altogether, which may not sound like a lot when you got games like Call of Duty out there breaking records and God of War selling 100 million.
Not everybody's Call of Duty,
but yeah, everybody's not Call of Duty, and everybody ain't Grand Theft Auto selling 100 million in a decade. But Tomb Raider still doing 95 million over the course of its franchise is still a really good number. Slow Mo, 2 questions. What do you think this means for Tomb Raider?
Did you download the other one?
I did. I'm switching it now.
Okay, I'll go ahead.
Yeah, what do you think about Amazon jumping into the gaming sphere headfirst in publishing not just their own titles, but third-party titles, and basically saying they're still going to... I mean, they didn't say that it was going to be multi-platform, but they're pretty much saying, where gamers... They're basically saying where gamers want to play.
All the reports are saying it's multi-platform.
Right. So what are we thinking about this, this collaboration? And why is Embracer letting this happen? I guess Embracer said, we just want to collect money. We don't care about anything else. But what do you think?
Well, I think, and I said before that Embracer had acquired Crystal Dynamics to be like an attractive. They got them for dirt cheap, and they're like basically almost like flipping a home. Like it's an attractive studio that they could lease out to work on other studios and make money off of that. Make money off of the games that they make, or just sell them for premium if like they really prove to a potential platform holder or publisher that they're worth owning, which I thought Microsoft would be the one to do that with them using both Eidos Montreal and Crystal Dynamics as support studios for Playground and the Initiative. But with the ABK acquisition, in light of which we're going to talk about a little bit later, where it looks like that thing ain't going to go anywhere anytime soon. It's definitely not going to be resolved. It looks like in the time frame that Microsoft was hoping it would, which would have been like spring or summer of next year. But in light of that, I think Embracer is like, well, who else might want to take this on? And I think that I don't know for certain if Amazon will want to acquire them. Again, they're just publishing the next game, which is supposed to be the most expansive Tomb Raider game, yada yada yada. The only good ones, I would say, were the ones that Crystal Dynamics did anyway. Like
definitive,
this one,
definitive
yeah,
edition.
this like the gameplay here is definitive edition. Rise of the Tomb Raider is probably the best one. And Shadow of the Tomb Raider wasn't terrible, but it didn't do there was no improvement there with combat. There was no improvement with story. It was just there. It was just like another like we need to drop another Tomb Raider to finish the
The
trilogy, and
trilogy,
here you
yeah.
go. Um, all that said, I do think that Amazon. I like the moves that Amazon's making here. If you look at Blue Protocol, which they showed at the Video Game Awards, that game looks awesome. Action MMO looking game, got that like anime visual art style to it. Like what they showed looked really good. The New World is the only game that I can think of that I believe that they've released yet,
Mm-hmm.
and it's an MMO that's on PC. A bit problematic here and there, but it has a very stable community there. So I think their approach to gaming is way better than what Google did. And if they start publishing some AAA games, in addition to dropping their own first party content, also they did publishing for Lost Ark,
Yeah, they
which
did.
I have no idea why no one was trying to get Lost Ark, which is basically like the Korean version of Diablo, over to the Western Hemisphere of the world, because that game has been hyped up all over the world for years. And I was just like, I don't understand why it took so long for that to happen. But Amazon seemed to realize, this is a game that's definitely worth it, to bring over here and will make us a lot of money. And I think they're making good decisions. So I do think them publishing the next Tomb Raiders is a good deal for them and everyone really, because Amazon got money. And if they're willing to spend, that money, well, all right, because that means this game's gonna have a pretty big budget, probably more of a budget than Embracer was going to actually dedicate to it.
Right.
But I'm doing a lot of talking.
No,
What do
no,
you
you're
think?
good. I love Tomb Raider. It was I really liked the refresh that they did on it back then. I can't remember what year it actually came out. It was
2013.
2030. Oh yeah, right. 2030, because it was a game that was on. It was actually on 360. It was like
It was a
right at the.
cross-gen
It was a
game.
cross
Yeah.
gen game. It was at the very end of 360, and I remember I actually played it on through. I played it on PC back then, and I was like blown away. That's what the whole Tress effects with the hair. Your PC couldn't even handle it.
Yeah.
It was like you turn on Tress effects, it's gonna melt your CPU and your GPU. Oh
And it
man,
wouldn't even look that good. It looks
it
like a
didn't.
plastic helmet
It did.
sitting on Lara's head. Like you know how I am with hair in
Oh,
video
I
games.
know. Yeah,
Like
that was
it's the
not good
most.
looking hair.
It was not good. Like it was a
Individual.
waste of freaking time.
Right, they up here trying
Um,
to render individual strands of hair, and I'm like, y'all could have did better with this, but okay. But you know what? Back then that looked good. Now it looks terrible.
right.
So no, but the biggest thing for me is I just want them to get back to, because I feel like the whole mantra of the original Tomb Raider was become the Tomb Raider. And of course, she was not the Tomb Raider in the first one. She, supposedly at the end of that became the Tomb Raider. And I feel like they still never made it there. And then it's like they kind of just started jumping the shark with more and more stuff that they try to like add to the games as you go through Rise of the Tomb Raider. Then you get to Shadow of the Tomb Raider. And I'm like, when are we going to really let this woman just be the Tomb Raider? Like, okay, where are the tombs at,
yeah.
first of
She's
all?
becoming the Tomb Raider.
She's
She's
still,
almost there.
she's almost there.
Almost there. Almost like come on.
There's
Like
not a tomb to be found in any of these games.
yeah.
So
Which I appreciate the way they did it. And I always kind of felt like Tomb Raider 2013 had the best story.
it did.
Because it literally was her, being, never not the mass murderer Lara Croft that she
Even though
is,
she became a
but
mass murderer in that game.
she did. But it was a build up to it, and
Right.
she was kind of like, definitely running for her life and afraid, and then, slowly started to build into murdering everyone she came across. But like the whole like the second game Rise, I think took a step back in
Yep,
story, and
exactly.
it did too many story beats that were similar to like kind of like treading a path they had already walked over with 2013 and the shadow does the same exact thing, and it's just like here we go with another completely exotic area where there's like natives that are living there that she's protecting or fighting with or whatever rebels,
Hmm.
blah 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 blah. It's just like the same shady shadowy organization that's trying to get all these, like, just come on, like give us a different story. I really do hope that this game, clearly it's starting a new story arc, overarching story arc. I just kind of hope they don't tread on ground they've already done, because I think people have had enough of that.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's kind of where I sit with it. I just want to see them improve and actually innovate a little bit more on the character side of it, and actually, I kind of want them to get away from the whole Nathan Drake thing when it comes to, or just not Last of Us, Uncharted thing, where we got this supernatural stuff going on at the end of all these games. I'm like, yo, first of all, Tomb Raider was never really about that, even back in the 90s.
I remember she used to fight
That's what I'm
dinosaurs
saying.
and
First of all,
like
can we get dual? Can we get dual 9 millimeters back? Can we like
yeah,
get
but I mean
true Tomb
I
Raider
it's like
back?
I feel you on that. I do want the dual pistols back. She does get them at the end of this game, but
Yeah,
then she
temporary
doesn't keep them.
doesn't keep them. I'm like, what?
Right.
It's like you see her holding both of them, and then it's like, okay, are you? Never mind. I see where this is going, but it was like I want them to get back to that. And I'm not trying to say the gameplay from the 90s was like the greatest. It was great for back then, but it would be nice to get some of those like nostalgic moments back into the game. Even if she runs, she runs around in the tank top with shorts on. I mean, I don't know, something just to kind of bring back
Well,
that type of
they
thought
always
process.
had like different
Yeah, they always.
costumes. You could do that. You could absolutely do that, especially even on PC. You know how mods are.
Oh
I
yeah, yeah.
mean,
What I'm saying, but that's something that I think
some of the
they.
mods you don't want to see what Laura's wearing when she's running around doing all this other stuff, because it's a
uh,
little
she got she
come
out
on now.
she out there with
Well, next to nothing. It's all
next to
we gonna leave it at that. Next to nada.
starfish covering up certain parts of her body. That's about it.
Right.
No,
Yeah, it's always like that with certain games. The Resident Evil 2 with Claire.
with
Good grief.
Claire, yeah. No, but I think that's where I am with it, and I think this is a really good opportunity for Amazon to really show that they're serious about games to an extent where, yeah, we're not making this game, but we're going to publish it, and if they can put enough money and backing behind it to actually, like they say, live up to the opportunity of this being the biggest and best Tomb Raider that's ever been made. And that's a lofty goal, because there have been really good Tomb Raider games out there. I think that would be a really good move for them to get into the third party arena when it comes to making games for platforms outside of just themselves. And maybe that might entice people to want to come and make games for their system, the Luna. Who knows at this point? But I like the move. I'm not opposed to it. It's just real interesting that Crystal Dynamics is like basically working for three different companies right now. They're working for Embracer, they owned by Embracer. They're working for Microsoft, and now it looks like they're going to be working for
Amazon.
Amazon. And it's almost like they might be a better version of Platinum Games at this point.
Well, they are a better version. Well, I wouldn't even say a version of Platinum Games, because Platinum makes very different games than Crystal Dynamics.
Yeah,
But Crystal
games. Like we're
Dynamics
just talking
is a
about.
better developer than
Well,
Platinum.
we're just talking
Platinum's
about how they just
great.
stretch themselves out. Like, that's the one thing I don't want to see happen. And I don't know how big the studio is.
Crystal, I think they're about 200 devs, but I'll double check it real quick.
Yeah, so I mean that's the biggest thing for me. I just want quality games, and I just don't want. And I really want to see what the initiative has cooking over there with that game. And I mean, And if this is
Oh, I'm wrong. They are 275 developers.
oh, well, okay, you're still closer than I was gonna guess. But
Yeah, and that's probably even bigger considering that mobile studio, the Square Enix, Montreal studio got liquidated, and all the devs there were like basically sent to either Eidos Montreal or Crystal Dynamics. So they're probably even bigger now. You might say they might be like 300 now.
yeah. Shout out to Basement Radio Arcade Podcast. Brap. He was like, I guess he's talking about. I thought someone was Forte was going to buy that Call of Duty. Well, we came to a very shocking reveal last night. Since me and Slomo weren't friends on
BattleNet.
BattleNet, I couldn't gift him the game for another. Well, at this moment, it would be 2 more days. I told so he said, "What are you waiting for?" I was like, it's not letting me buy it because we ain't been friends long enough."
I do think they do have like a free something going on where you can play it for free.
Yeah, you
So
can
I
just
might
it's for the whole weekend. You can you should
yeah,
be
so
able
I
to
might be able to just install it and then play it, and then by the time the free weekend is over,
you'll
you'll be
actually
able
have
to
the
gift
gift
it.
to you, which actually
Yeah,
works. Yeah, cool.
right.
Yeah, with oh, he said shipment is on fire. Is always on fire, man. That's are they did just release the shipment map, didn't they, Slow-Mo?
Yes, they did. Yeah,
Oh man, I need to
yeah.
get in there and play that. I love shipment. Cool. Well, Slow-Mo, with that being said, let's move over to our next topic, which is Xbox versus Regulators. I couldn't come up with a number, so I just said part 57. Who knows? It's probably, I think Hogue Law had
That literally is pretty accurate.
yeah,
It probably
Hogue.
is part
Yeah, I think
57.
Hogue had. I think when I was listening to Hogue said he was up to like 58 or 59 videos in the Activision. I mean, in the Activision Xbox saga, and it's really interesting everything going on. But the one thing that I want to really focus on with you in this is what Brad Sams had to say when he was talking to a news outlet about what is going on with the FTC. And this is what he had to say. He said the FTC case is really based on a market that identifies that that they say there is 2 companies and 2 products, Sony, PlayStation, and Microsoft Xbox. If you look at the global market, Sony has 70% of the market and we only have 30%. So the first thing a judge is going to have to decide is whether the FTC's lawsuit is a case that will promote competition, or is it really instead a case that protects the largest companies from the competitors from other competitors. And he also brought up the fact about the 286 PlayStation exclusive games that are on the PlayStation platform, where Xbox only had 59 releases. And he said, so an administrative law judge is going to have to decide whether going from 59 to 60 is such a danger to competition that he should stop this from moving forward at all. Slow-Mo, they are fighting a civil war right now. Sony is not having it. Microsoft's trying to fight back. Regulators are like suing, and then they're dropping lawsuits and stuff like that. Microsoft's in back rooms telling people that they're willing to get on the sun and the moon. Nintendo didn't even want Call of Duty, but somehow they got a 10-year deal. Gabe Newell said, no, they ain't got to give us no 10-year deal. We already know they gonna do what we Steam. They go release the game over here no matter what. Slow-Mo, what the heck is really going on, and what is Microsoft trying to prove, and what is Brad Smith trying to prove with comments like comparing the basically the fortunes that Sony has had by releasing all these games because they put the work in, comparing it to Microsoft not really putting the work in? What is your thoughts on this?
Gosh, man, look. At this point right now, I am so tired of this entire topic. But look, this is what I'm saying. When it comes to the FTC, people are realizing something that I said a few months ago when I brought up how T-Mobile tried to merge with Sprint, the two telecommunication companies, and how there was really no reason to prevent it from happening,
Right.
but they blocked it. They prevented it from happening. Um, it's really all political, man. And Lena Khan right now is really all about, it seems, trying to change laws to fit what what she believes the FTC should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
When they have no actual legal grounding to do what they're doing. A lot of, if you look at their case, is really just it's very flimsy, right? And so
Yeah.
if this goes to court, which looks like it's going to go to court, they're not going to win.
No, they're not
Which
gonna
I
win.
think also probably the reason why they decided to do it in their own administrative court instead of doing it in federal court, because if it was in federal court, they have a lot less control in the entire situation. I think they're basically doing what, it's kind of like a stall tactic. It's basically trying to prevent a major acquisition from happening, like it is, by good grief, man.
Yeah, I
All over
don't
the
know
screen.
what happened to this.
That's because it's a different resolution.
Oh, there it
So
is.
you're gonna have to
Oh, yeah, I
resize
got
it.
it.
This is why I have different sources for separate resolutions.
Well, you didn't name these resolutions in these
I
videos.
did. It says 4K at the end of it.
Oh, it does. Okay.
Oh, it does. How you gonna say I didn't name it and you dead wrong and it's right there?
Oh yeah, you're right. It is named. Okay, continue.
I apologize.
I apologize, Slow Mo.
Okay.
Something you couldn't easily do yesterday for me, but I'll apologize.
What?
Continue, Slow Mo.
I couldn't do easily for you. What are you talking about? I sent this to you yesterday.
Continue, Slow Mo.
It has 4K at the end of the name of the video.
Slow Mo.
That's freaking grief. Blame me for everything. Anyway.
Continue, sir. You keep talking. Continue.
Okay, look. So what they're trying to do is get Microsoft to quit. You spent $70 billion on something. Matter of fact, think about a company that is $1 billion tech corporation, but not a $1 trillion tech corporation like Microsoft. Like, Microsoft actually has the money to see this to the end. Do they actually want to, though? Will the investors sit on their hands long enough to see this to the end? We don't know, right?
We don't know. You're right.
What are you doing?
I'm trying to make it actually like the whole screen, sir. For some reason,
It was fine.
It was not fine. It was literally showing no map on the screen. The car was halfway across the screen. Now it's fine.
It's
fine now. It's fine now.
Okay.
It's a lot better now. I can actually see how fast you're going when you're going to hit this wall when you turn this corner.
Oh my god! All right, you.
Oh my god, you are about to hit the wall.
The issue here, right, is that a lot of companies spend these billions of dollars, right?
Yeah.
And they want, like, not necessarily an immediate return on the investment that they just made, but they definitely don't want to wait years to see, that money actually be put to use. Now, when you're dealing with investors, like, I'm not any expert here, but I can imagine the investors who were like, okay, we just spent $70 billion on Activision. All right. Then they hear this is like, so how long is this going to be called up? Because y'all use my money, our money, investors' money, as a part of this acquisition. And we were cool with it when we thought this was all going to, like, be something with Call of Duty that would end up, like, bearing fruit in 2023, 2023 when now you're getting all that revenue, you're owning all the, you're that revenue is going to you for King, the Blizzard games coming out next year for Call of Duty, but now it's like, it might be years before this actually gets done.
Right.
Is it still worth it to you, right? And so that is the reason why a majority of the mergers or acquisitions that the FTC treats in this manner end up not necessarily going through. When they do go to court, they have lost every single time. But if it doesn't go to court, it's typically because it's taking too long. And they could appeal if they wanted to.
Right.
And that would take longer. And I mean, this could go all the way up to the Supreme Court, but how long is that going to take? And so it's just that's kind of the motivation behind what they're doing. Do you really want to do this? Oh man, we're just going to appeal. Oh, how long is that going to take? And don't you want to acquire other things? Right?
Yeah.
You gonna hold off on acquiring those other studios while you wait for this? What's more important to you? And so that's the motivation behind it. It's kind of, it sucks, that's how the government works, but that's how the government works.
Because they know how slow the government is.
Yeah. By the way,
how slow
you
law
did not
is.
fix this.
Yes, I did.
It is stretched out and all weird looking now.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Bro.
Slow mo.
Anyway.
Slow mo.
No, it's you. I'm telling you, when you put up the next video, and if you put Lara Croft back up there, she be looking like she's 300 pounds.
No, she won't. Slow mo.
Anyway, don't stop calling me. I'm gonna say this, and I'm because I'm done with this stuff. I can't stand.
You can't stand
this whole topic anymore, because it what annoys me is that it's not going anywhere anytime soon. I already kind of felt like, man, we gotta look another 6 months of having to talk about this crap.
That's true.
But now it looks like it's going to be, if they see it to the end, it's going to be years before we get. No, I just can't. I cannot deal with this for years. Like
it's already been almost a year.
It's so I feel like there's a pain back of my eye every time this gets brought up, and I'm just like, let it go. But whatever, man, whatever. It's the stuff that Brad Smith is saying, the stuff that Phil Spencer has been saying. It's just like, well, duh. Like what Phil Spencer said, well, Sony wants to grow by making us smaller. Yeah, like that's how markets work. Like in a market, someone either owns, like, if one person has 70% of the market, their competitors have 30%.
Right.
If they want more, of course they want more. If they want more of the market, they gotta make their competitors smaller. That's how it works. That's how it works. Like it's just like all these interviews and stuff. It's just like, bro, like you ain't saying nothing that we don't already know. I just kind of wish, just like when things actually happen, like I'm fine with what everyone talking about, the FTC putting a block in. That's something that actually happened, The next thing I want to see, though, is either the CMA or the EU's actual verdict on this, the actual thing they're going to do on this. That's the next thing I want to see. I don't want to see anything else before then. I don't want to see someone taking like a sentence from page 45 out of a 200 page document going, ooh, see, here is where. No, don't make an article about that. Just don't. By the way, do you see how the top of the screen of the gameplay is cut off?
I do.
So you see how I was right?
No, you're not right.
Why?
All right. I don't know why you wanted to try to do this argument with me.
You don't have to admit you're wrong to be wrong, is what Bob said.
Slow mo.
No.
Just because you think you're right, Slow Mo.
I am right.
God. You know what, Slow
There's
Mo?
no think, but I don't need to think it. I know it.
Fit the screen. There it is. I made it fit the screen, and now I'm about to.
It's still not.
I know. No, I know. It's fit the screen now. Just because you are making this more than it needs to be, we are going
I'm
to.
saying,
We're gonna.
it looks bad.
Oh my God, you're terrible.
It looks terrible.
You're terrible, Slow Mo. Just want you.
We don't have these problems when I'm hosting.
Well, label your stuff right.
I am actually going to show what the label of. I'm going to put it on Twitter what the label of this gameplay is.
I'm just
So to see the 4K at the end, so you know which resolution it was.
okay. Are you trying to make a point?
Yeah, the point's already been made.
Oh,
You
okay.
you didn't read it right and you messed it up. That's all. That's all that need to be said.
Okay, Slow Mo. I appreciate you more than you know.
Uh-huh.
But guess what? You're an amazing person.
Oh, stop it. What are your thoughts here on this
I think it's
nonsense?
this nonsense. I think it's stupid. I think it's more of the same that Microsoft has been doing for quite some time now. I understand the direction that they're trying to make themselves look worse by making PlayStation look stronger. But the problem is people don't care about any of that. They just want to know, when is my games coming? And that's all I care about. When is the freaking games coming, Slow Mo? Slow Mo, do you know when the games are coming?
Can you just hold shift?
I am holding shift.
How is it?
See, that's shift. And now, gotta move this there. Slow Mo, talk.
I am distracted by all of the unprofessionalism that's happening
Oh
right now.
my God, you're making it worse than it needs to be. Slow Mo.
I am.
Yes, you are.
No. I think at some point Microsoft is going to have to make a decision. They're going to have to make a decision whether getting ABK is worth losing everything else that they want to get, because clearly they have plans. I think they want Asobo.
I
I
think they
think
want a
they
solo
want.
too.
I think they want Crystal Dynamics. I think they want Eidos Montreal. I think they want to acquire other studios, and there is the chance that they could lose out on that. And they don't want it to be another situation like BioWare,
I
where
agree with that.
BioWare was only making games for them, and then they get bought by EA. They don't want Asobo to get bought by Take-Two or I don't know, whoever, Tencent. Even though I don't know if Asobo is even like cash strapped or anything like that, but they have plans for the future, and I think that they are at a point right now where they're going to have to make a decision, and that decision is going to have to be, we need to either jump off this bus so we can do these other things that we need to do, or gamble and see it through, and hopefully those studios don't end up in ownership in different ways or off the market.
No, I agree with
So
that. I mean, I think that's just the biggest thing, though. Like, we talked about it on Brap yesterday. Like, what is the overall thoughts that Microsoft is just? And I don't want to get into the whole viability if Call of Duty isn't on Xbox and how that could affect the Xbox platform. I just think at a certain point, this is just Microsoft throwing a bunch of Hail Marys out there trying to get this stuff to go through so they can just move on and they can start, worrying about other things that they want. Because I do feel like it's affecting the things that they show, which I don't get, because you already announced all this stuff. I can understand new stuff, but when it comes to the stuff like Hellblade and Fable, and we're gonna talk about Fable after this. But the stuff that they announced, it's like show that stuff. And I feel like everything has come to a crawl because of this Activision Blizzard deal. I mean Activision Blizzard deal. And I just wanted to be over with. And I don't and it's just and when I heard that they were basically suing, it's like, oh, this is just gonna last another year, at least another year, maybe 2. It just comes down to a war of attrition at this point. Is Microsoft going to hold on that long? Now, if they know at the end of the scenario, if they got a crystal ball that says that at the end of this, if we wait 2 more years and fight it out, we'll have Activision Blizzard in the Xbox, ecosystem, they'll do it. But I just think so many things are up in the air right now. Like, who really knows? But I said it yesterday on Brap. I think Phil Spencer's not too much long for the gaming industry. I think he's probably wore out from all of this. And I do think that at some point in the next 2 to 3 years, most likely sometime after this deal is complete, good or bad, I think Phil Spencer walks away from all. But I don't know. That's just how I feel.
You think he waits until this is done?
Oh, I don't think he'll leave before this is done.
Yeah. I think that would look poorly upon him to basically hand this off
to somebody else.
To somebody else to deal with. See it through, and then he can walk away and say, well, look, I left you guys with a Xbox that has sold the most out of any Xbox generation.
Yep.
I left you guys with like 5 times as many studios, more than like 6 times as many studios as you had when I started. I got you the biggest game, one of the biggest games in the console market. It's a no-brainer that you should be successful at this point.
Right. And I think that's
and if it's not successful, it ain't on me. I can walk away.
If it's not successful, it ain't on me. Right, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, but with that, man, we just want Xbox to do better, but ultimately it's just gonna come down to we're not gonna see anything until this deal actually goes through or whatever happens from it. But moving on from that, Slow-Mo, I do want to talk about this Fable nonsense. Did you hear or read anything about this?
Yes, I did.
Okay, cool.
And because we want to give proper credit to where things are.
Yes.
Shout out to Jess Corden of Windows Central. He is the person that originated the talk about this. And essentially, what is happening is that he has heard that there has been like internal mandates, so to speak, where some studios are forced to use proprietary engines instead of Unreal for the development of games, and that has slowed the development of some of these games. Now, I had heard this from other people who told this to me in confidence about 343. And I've heard that about 343 that Xbox leadership forced them to create another engine, Slipspace engine, which is essentially like the foundation of it is still the Blam engine, which is the original Halo engine, but like to instead do that instead of going with Unreal or anything like that, because that's they if you go, they didn't want to license a game that was supposed to be a live service game in the last 10 plus years or whatever that tagline is that always ends up with a game failing, right? I don't know. I'm not saying Jez is lying. I don't think he does that kind of reporting. I just don't quite believe Jez's source on this when it comes to Playground, because Playground Games has only used Forza Tech.
They only use Forza Tech, right? That's all they use.
Yeah. And they didn't make Forza Tech. Sorry, I'm about to say
Turn 10 did.
Turn 10 makes it, and they use it and work with Turn 10, but it's Turn 10's engine. them going to Forza Tech to make Fable, of course, that's going to take longer than it would normally take them to make another Forza game. Making an action RPG is drastically different than making a racer.
Yep.
You need all new assets. You need to do mocap, to get character model animations correct now in the day and age that we are. Like if you're doing a AAA game, you're not doing performance capture mocap. You're what are you doing?
Right.
Your animation's going to look very poor. It's going to look like The Witcher 3. Okay, I'm sorry. But like there's a lot of things that Playground isn't used to doing. And remember, like last year, we were talking about how like there's a way for a studio to do new genres.
Yeah.
And there's a way to do it, and there's a bad way to do it. And the way and how we pinpoint how Respawn with Jedi Fallen Order is the way to do it.
Right.
And the reason why it's the way to do it is because they created a whole separate studio under Respawn. They filled that studio full of veterans who've worked on these kind of games before. People who have worked on Uncharted, The Last of Us, people who worked on Tomb Raider, people who have done third-person perspective action adventure games before, and not people who have just made first-person shooters like Respawn have been known for. And Playground has done some of that as well. They've hired a lot of people who had previously worked at Lionhead and did Fable, as well as people who worked on other games that are third person perspective as well. But but the difference between what Respawn did and what Playground's doing is that Respawn didn't go with the name of their engine. Is it Source Engine? No. I forgot the name of their engine. But they didn't go with the engine that they make Titanfall with. They went with Unreal Engine. They went with Unreal Engine because everyone that they had hired to work at the second studio was familiar with it. And it already comes with a lot of the tools and a lot of the things they need to make this game good. Playground doesn't have that experience, and Forza Tech does not have the resources, the tools within the engine. That stuff needs to get made. And so I knew that going into all this and knew that was going to be the problem. Not necessarily the problem, but something, a hurdle they would have to get over. So development would take longer. But then if you really think about it, this game has been in development for like 5 years now, right?
Mm-hmm.
This game was in development before they got acquired. That was back in 2018. So now we're going on 5 years minimum that this game has been in development. Now they got Eidos Montreal, who is very familiar with making these kind of games, helping them, which is great, which is awesome. That means that bodes better for Fable being a good game. But all that said, like this whole scenario where they're forced to use Forza Tech, let's if this is a mandate by Xbox leadership, what does that say for the coalition? What does that say for the very real possibility that 343 is using Unreal for the next installment of Halo? What does that say for the Compulsion's next game, which is Unreal? What does that say for Undead Labs' game, which is Unreal Engine? Microsoft has more first-party developers using Unreal Engine than Sony does. They got a lot of developers using Unreal Engine. I don't think they have a problem with Unreal Engine. I don't. I don't think they have a problem. I don't think if if Playground wanted to do Unreal Engine, I don't think they would have said, "Hey, don't do that." And I've seen the comments that that have resurfaced from what Matt Booty said. I think it was around Gamescom that he mentioned this, where he said that like early on when he saw what Playground was doing, he admitted he was a bit skeptical, but now that he's seen more of what it is and where it's going, that he's really excited for it. And that's to be expected. When you have a developer who's never done this kind of game before, there are going to be pitfalls. There are going to be dead ends you're going to run into. You're going to make mistakes, have to undo some things or drop some stuff and go back to it and figure it out because you're doing something new and you're trying to, and of course you want to hire people who've done it before so you don't make as many mistakes as other people have made in the past. But there's going to be a learning curve. That's guaranteed. And so this whole like it's because they were forced to. I'm not saying Jez is lying. I just don't trust where Jez is getting the person who gave Jez that information. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think in general it just ultimately comes back to, oh man, being a person that has a lot of insight and being a person that has a lot of industry friends that are willing to tell you stuff cannot be the funnest thing in the world, because when you start talking about stuff like this, it's always those people that will fight against you on it. And the thing with Jez is I know he doesn't just come out and just say things. So I know he actually
he heard it from somebody.
This from somebody. Yeah. He ain't just come. Right. This ain't just pop up. So, like you said, you said you think his source might be wrong on the matter. I mean, that could be definitely the case. But I also know Jez as being a person, shout out to the Xbox 2 and Rand, because he talks about all this type of stuff on that show all the time. I do know that he doesn't go to, market in a way that, when it comes to talking about stuff like gaming news and stuff, he doesn't go to market unless he like kind of trusts the person that he is listening to before he says anything, because 90% of the time he'll just kind of keep his mouth shut on certain things until he can confirm 100%. And ultimately, the thing for me is, this is just another thing that's going on with Microsoft and Xbox that doesn't need to be going on. And what it does is it just brings more, overall confusion to the conversation of like, why does Microsoft do the things that they do when it comes with Xbox and all of these game developers and these publishers and the mismanaging of them. And some people are going to probably say, well, this isn't mismanaging. This is just them basically, saying that we want you to use our in-house tech in order for us to, make the games that you're making. And I'm going to say, well, you're spending $70 billion on an acquisition of the size of Call of Duty. Money isn't the problem. So why are we, if companies and publishers and developers are used to working on a particular thing like Unreal, and we got Unreal 5 out there, they want to even if they don't want to work in Unreal 5 yet, they're more comfortable working in Unreal 4. They want to work in some other engines and stuff. Why not let them do that? Let them do that.
And they are doing that. Ninja Theory is
what's what I'm saying. Ninja Theory is doing that. Why can't
Hellblade 2 is Unreal Engine 5? There is no look, there's just too much actual physical evidence that there is no mandate that they make their own proprietary engines. There just can't be, because the majority of your studios is using Unreal Engine, which you don't own. The Coalition has made nothing but games on Unreal Engine.
On Unreal Engine. Exactly.
And they are probably one of the best studios in the world. The only studio that's probably better than the Coalition at Unreal Engine is Epic.
Epic themselves, who makes it right at this point.
So it's just like, no, that doesn't make any sense, man.
Yeah.
It's just, so like when I say, and to clarify what I'm saying when I say that people like Jess could have got bad information from an actual source that normally has given him good information before, but just got it wrong this time. Like, I remember, and I'm not going to name any names or anything. I don't have sources. I don't. Like, I hear stuff by accident. People tell me things, they be like, whoops, I wasn't supposed to say that slow mo. Don't repeat that. And I'm like, all right, cool, I ain't repeat it.
Right.
And I don't. But I remember there was a particular topic, a rumor that was going around about a game earlier this year. I'm not gonna say what game it is because then people are gonna start asking questions. But there was a particular rumor about a game earlier this year, and I knew someone who has told me multiple times about stuff that was going to happen with that game before the stuff happened, and it came true.
Right.
So I hit them up like, "Hey, did you hear about this?" And it was like, "That's false. That ain't real." I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool. Just thanks for giving me that, correction." Because I was like, "Wow, what's going on?" An hour later, there was like, "Whoop, hey, wait a minute."
She said, "Whoa, wait, hold up now."
But my source has looked into it. It's definitely true. Wow, really? Yeah. I thought it wasn't true because I talked to this source a few weeks ago, and they said no, nothing like that had been going on. But I didn't specifically ask them about this. And when I specifically asked them about it, it was like, let me look into it, got back to me. It's absolutely going down. And then, like a day later, it all came out. And it was just like, sometimes you speak to a source, they don't know all the information.
Right.
And so that's how, like, sometimes you'll get situations where, and I remember, a friend of the show, Jeff Grubb, has said this before, where he doesn't divulge. He in the beginning, he used to tell us everything he knew. He's like, "Hey, I just heard this. I'm not under NDA. I'm gonna tell you, right?"
Right.
But it's like all the information the source gave him wasn't accurate, or it was accurate at that time, but then things changed, and because things changed, it he told everything the source said, and then when things didn't turn out quite the way that he said it would, oh, well, Jeff doesn't know anything, and so like he deals with that backlash because his source was right at that time,
Right.
but things changed, and so like I'm just trying to explain it for the audience so that like they understand that sometimes people may know things and it may be accurate when they knew it,
Oh yeah.
or it may have been a misunderstanding when it comes back to this whole proprietary game engines versus using Unreal. That could have been a conversation that somebody had, that could have been a conversation that was being had by well, hey, Microsoft would prefer we just use Force Attack, but then maybe that this actual decision came to, it's still our decision, and we still chose to go with Forza Tech over Unreal. But it was our decision. Like I, especially after Matt Booty admitted earlier this year he wanted to show us Fable, but Playground told him no. So what you going? What would he saying? What would he saying now that like? He can mandate what engine they use to make their game when they have been open about giving these developers creative freedom to do whatever they want and how they make their games. But then when it came to showing the game, they don't have any control over that. That doesn't, like, none of that tracks, it doesn't make any sense.
Nope. I agree 100%. And I think in general, that's ultimately where it's going. And I mean, we'll get there sooner or later. They're going to release these games sooner or later, and it's going to happen. I mean, I do think you take the very few that are having issues like 343 when it comes to split space. We don't even know what's going on with Fable. We just know that they're working in the Forza Tech engine. Is going to probably take longer because they're adapting it over to what they're doing now. And that might be a good move. It might be a bad move. I mean, ultimately, Matt Booty's coming out telling people that, he's seen it and he can't wait for people to see it. But where have we heard this stuff before? We heard back in 2020 when Phil Spencer and them were talking about Halo, like they couldn't wait for us to see it, and then what we saw was such a disappointment. They delayed the game for a year, and it should have probably been. It ain't even probably. It should have been delayed for more than a year, two years minimum.
You have gameplay of that game as well if you want to.
Oh, well,
I don't know if you want to.
no, we're about to move on from now. From Halo? I don't even want to look at Halo gameplay. I don't even understand how you playing that game right now.
It ain't about you.
Yeah, I just said I don't know how you're doing it. I'm proud of you though, because I love it, but I love it enough to stay away from it until that game is 100% fixed. That game needs to be in the 90 percentile of fix before I go over there and play it.
How you know it's not?
It's not. You ain't told me it is either. Okay, is it slow-mo?
I don't know.
It's
better.
Well, yeah. Well, when you're 26%, better could be 50. Well, where do you think the game sits in percentage, slow-mo? If you had to say as a box product, as Halo is, where is the percentage of it?
It's better than it was the last time you played.
Well, I would hope so. I will hope so after 9 months of it being out on the market, or actually longer than that, almost over a year now. I will hope it would be better by now, slow-mo. But guess what ain't changed yet? That 6-month season that they got you.
They actually added a winter update season in the middle of that.
Okay,
so.
Well, it was.
I'm not defending them.
Please don't defend them. I was about to say this winter bit. It's
better. It's better.
Okay, it's better. Okay, maybe if you say it's better, maybe I'll download it again and play it with you. But moving on to the slanderous part of this show. That needs to be slandered because I don't know what's going on here, and I'm gonna let Slow-Mo basically just pick this whole freaking thing apart. Matter of fact, why I'm here, let me switch over to the DPS full screen, because on the screen right now, if you are not a person that is looking at the video, this is what you call an 84-page document of what Bungie had to say over at GDC 2022 about the state of live service games and what Bungie needed to do to change or what they needed to transform when it came to live services with Destiny. We're not going to go through all these all these slides in this PowerPoint, but as you can see, it's pretty lengthy. Shout out to Justin Truman for doing an amazing job putting this stuff on screen. I don't agree with 90% of the stuff that he said in it, but they actually put this out there for people to actually critique. The biggest thing is they were talking about the difference between having a box product mindset and having a service-driven mindset, and how they were still living on the line when Destiny first released. They were still living on the mindset of a box product, and how they felt like Destiny was an actual disappointment to them. They felt like it was a failure because Destiny 1 wasn't as acclaimed, and it wasn't as it was like not as impeccable as a game like Halo was. And they felt like they failed, but then they came to the realization, and I'm just, shortchanging a lot of stuff that he's saying. They come to the realization that the way that they look at the success of Destiny isn't the same way they should look at it like other games like Halo. They said the engagement is a thing that they should look at. And that's what kind of started transforming their mindset to how are you going to keep people in your game? What is the mantra of what's going to happen there? And I sent this over to Slow-Mo like 4 or 5 days ago because it was like even the person that read it, shout out to Astrocross that did a really good job reading this. If you know who he is, he's a really huge Destiny content creator. And he did break down this whole thing in like 50 minutes, and it was great. And I sent it over to Slow-Mo so he can laugh and churn and have a good old time listening to everything that Bungie had to say. So Slow-Mo.
Mm-hmm.
This is also a company, by the way, and this is probably the main reason I wanted to bring this conversation, because I know Slow-Mo can't stand Bungie, but Slow-Mo does like PlayStation, and PlayStation picked up Bungie for what reason, Slow-Mo?
To teach their developers, whether they be first or second party, how to do live service games.
And this PowerPoint is literally from earlier this year on the reasons and what Bungie decided to do to make a successful live service game like Destiny. And these are the things that they are going to most likely implement into all of the teachings that's going to happen with Haven Studio and all of these other studios that are making live service games from Sony. So Slow-Mo, after you read this long, or not read, but listened to this long, drawn out PowerPoint, what were some things that you took away from it?
Bungie is out of their damn mind. That's that is the biggest thing that I took from it. And they're out of their mind because they admitted something that I had been saying about them for years. They admitted that they aren't trying to give the Destiny community their very best because they don't want to have to match that level of quality when they do the next update. They don't want to match it. They want to kind of keep you hungry for more and then deliver that content the way they've been doing it for like the past few years now, which is finally kind of come home to roost. Forte, when's the last time you played Destiny?
About just over a week. No, I take that back. I played on Tuesday, but that was the first time I played in over a week, though.
Okay.
So literally,
our friend
once
Luca hasn't played Destiny in months.
I don't think
a lot of people.
Yeah, she ain't played in a while.
Destiny is at its lowest point. It's funny because when they did this GDC conference and they out here telling people this is how you make a successful live service game. Oh, they were on a high. They were on track. They thought this year would be the most successful year.
It is. They said 2020. They said 2022. Actually, it's right here. Now, fast forward 4 years, and we are on track to having our most successful year in Destiny 2 in 2022.
On track.
On track
does not mean you had the most. You're on track.
They're on track too, and that was. And
there's no way this was their most successful year. When for the past last half of this year, they've had the lowest concurrent numbers.
Yep, they said in this was the thing they said back in 2018, which was and this was interesting because this is right around the time that Slow-Mo quit playing the game. If you're looking at the graph on the screen, the arrow points to 2018, which was the lowest point the player base has ever been at, and that was during the Curse of Osiris DLC, where a lot of people jumped ship on Destiny 2 in general. Slow-Mo was one of them. A lot of other people I know did that. I also left the game probably for like a month or so because it was I just didn't want to do it anymore.
We have a super chat, by the way.
Oh, yeah. I left the game. Shout out to Erodimus with the $5 super chat. Forte, you can't be complaining about Halo and you being the Destiny stan. Listen, there is a reason. Listen, there is I am
Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay, you being funny now. But no, there is a reason.
What's going on with the screen?
Oh no, because I switched over to the thing and I have it on this one. But Erodimus, I appreciate you, but this is why, as much as I love Bungie and I love Destiny, there's things that they do that I don't agree with. And I knew that this was going to be something that Slow-Mo was going to want to sink his teeth into. And I'm not afraid of stuff like that because I feel like this direction is the reason why people walk away from the game. And I think some of the biggest things for me is back in 2018, they had this same issue. They said
we should define what the issues are.
Oh, yeah, we should define the issues.
They changed their mindset from a closed box mindset and for the audience to understand what they mean by closed box mindset. This is their definition of that. What they mean is delivering on a complete game that's polished at launch. They said they had to get out of that box product mindset. To get a service mindset. And so to quote what they said. So what do I mean when I say a service mindset
Yep, got it on the
and
screen.
not the product definition? I think we all know what that looks like. But what is the mentality, the culture, the practices that let you win in this new environment? So for the rest of this hour, I want to try to find and what we had to learn to get where we are today. In each of these transitions, I would talk about both hard where we're both hard to recognize and then hard to navigate as an organization. And he kind of goes on, right? But what he's gets to is talking about the things that we can't stand, y'all, when you release an incomplete game so that you can dribble content to the community, time gating quests kind of things. Think about that. All the stuff that we can't stand about live service games. This guy from Bungie was at GDC telling people
Other
this is how you build
developers.
other developers, this is how you build a community. What he failed to recognize is that the Destiny community is very unique compared to other live service communities, other looter shooter communities. Other games, other developers and publishers have tried this very thing and they have failed. The Division tried this very same thing, failed. Anthem tried this very same thing, failed. What's different is that they have built-in community coming from Halo,
And that's the key word right there.
and there was enough similarities between Halo's gunplay and Destiny's gunplay to get them to transition over. Also, because 343 dropped the ball with Halo,
Yep.
a lot of them wanted to be over there.
Yeah.
And they have a loyalty to Bungie that, for some reason, doesn't allow them to drop the game when Bungie clearly is not delivering on the things that they want. No one else can do this. And furthermore, more importantly, if this is what they're teaching Sony Studios, Deviation Games, Haven, Naughty Dog, with Factions 2, that this is how you do service games, Factions might survive with this. But what does Deviation have to build off of? You're a brand new studio. What does Haven have to build off of? You're a brand new studio. You can't follow this format because you're not going to get people who are going to go against their own interests and to continue to sit and play your lack of content, bare bones product, waiting for you to finally deliver things. What's up, Mav? Shout out to Mav.
Shout out to Mav in the chat, bro. Shout out to Mav.
That's asinine. That's not what people want from live service games. And so I'm hoping, but I don't know, but I'm hoping that this kind of advice is being taken into consideration, but in all cases, not being put into use. Because they got 12 live service games coming out between now and 2025. And if a lot of these live service games are coming from newer studios who don't have anywhere near the kind of luck that what I'm basically saying is that Bungie didn't earn this. They lucked into a community that refuses to quit. And even now, when they have dropped the least amount of content whatsoever, and each season is a slog, they're only down to what, like 50K?
Yeah.
Is that it?
50K.
50K concurrent. You know how many games wish they had 50K concurrent players?
They were going to shutter. They said they were 5 weeks away from shuttering Destiny 2 when they were down to 38,000 players back in 2018. Now they're woefully close to that right now. 50,000 isn't too far away from 38,000. The only difference now is Bungie has a little safety blanket called PlayStation that's funding them now. So I don't think they're going to have to worry about anything like that happen. This was but this was also during the time that they were still under Activision. This was like in the middle of, it was like what, 6 or 7 months before they broke away from Activision. So I don't know, man. It's like when I read and look at these different things when they talk about, like, perfect example, he talks about, he said, in this idea, taking a game or a creative idea and doing all the iteration and the secrets at your studio until you release a near perfect game. That's what Bungie will call, we now call the box product mindset.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
I want to quote what he said here. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is how they view success now.
Yeah, that's why I
It's
put it on the
not
screen.
about good reviews. It's not about player satisfaction. Simply engagement.
Simply engagement.
Doesn't matter if you're engaging and you feel disappointed. Let me just say this real quick. I've always said this about looters. You can't keep players playing. Eventually, they're going to leave.
Mhm.
And good. I think I've never made a game, but I would say that, like, whenever I played, and I was big on looters for a long time, probably for the last generation. I'll play a lot of looters. I felt confident and happy to go back to those games when they drop new content, new DLC, new expansions, new updates. When I left feeling satisfied. When I left and went to go play other games, and I felt like that was a good experience. I got the build I wanted. I got the RNG was working for me. I completed the content. I feel good. I move on. When you create it a way where you design your content where it takes forever to get this stuff and you're drawing it out, people still leave your game. They just leave feeling differently. They don't feel satisfied because they didn't complete their goals. They feel frustrated when they leave your game.
Mhm.
And then when you drop new content, all you're doing is reminding them of their frustration. A lot of this may come to roost in February when their new expansion drops. Are they going to get all these people back like they normally do? But if you created this feeling of dissatisfaction, like, we know people who are saying they're coming back, but they don't say it like they're hyped. They just say it. Yeah, I'm coming back.
Yeah.
Like, that's not the sentiment that you should be feeling. But this is what they're saying. Now, I'm about to quote what they're saying about this. Engagement was the true measure of success for the franchise, but we didn't know it yet. And a lot of our efforts to create a quote unquote better Destiny 2 were because we had the wrong internal definition of success. You can fix your reviews, fix your sentiment, and fix your sales as long as you have engagement, as long as you have a community of players who care about and are passionate about your game. And they do have that. That's me adding that in. He then goes on to say, even when that passion is expressed as anger or frustration. Like, anger is not the opposite of loving a game. Loving and hating a game are like 2 degrees off from each other, and they both come from passion, from people who are highly engaged. So they love it when you are angry because they feel like you're engaged in the game. So when you're angry at them not listening to you and not doing things that you want them to do and not providing the kind of content that you want, they're like, yeah, we're succeeding. Because he's angry. They don't ever actually think that you might drop the game, hate the game, and never go back to it. So he says the opposite of loving a game, the thing that will kill your game is apathy. And I think that's the only thing about this entire little section that he said was true.
Yeah.
Apathy will kill your game.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I think they have right now. Now, that's all about Destiny. Again, the bigger discussion here is
how's this going to
this is what they're
translate over to
teaching.
the other
Yeah,
teams?
this is what they're teaching to Sony's developers. So the ones that are big mainstays, like Guerrilla is supposed to have multiplayer in the next Horizon. Sucker Punch is supposed to have multiplayer, and the next Ghost of Tsushima. Factions 2 with Naughty Dog. Like, those studios have a built-in player base, right? They got people that might, hey, do what they say, provide engagement, whether they're angry or frustrated at the lack of content from these games being designed the way Bungie has told them to design them or not. But you don't have nobody has the kind of loyalty that Bungie has with the Destiny community. I once thought Blizzard had that kind of loyalty with Overwatch. We saw how that turned out. Overwatch did the same thing. Blizzard, who used to be, we would never release a game that we don't think is the level quality that it should be. They were the complete opposite of this. Activision came in, completely turned them out. Now they are all on this kind of philosophy. Look at Overwatch 1.25. That's what I call it, because it ain't Overwatch 2.
Right.
Yes, it has more engagement than it did at this point of Overwatch 1 back in, I think, 2016 when it came out. But overall player sentiment, there's a lot of people that are not satisfied with that game. And what they came out with, like 3 new characters, a couple of new maps, none of the stuff that was actually new that they marketed Overwatch 2 to come out with, like the PvE stuff. Oh yeah, sorry, that'll be there in January. You see what I'm saying here? They released the sequel without the content that they marketed the sequel with.
Mm-hmm.
And then strung the community along. Just play the game with literally no difference in the change in the visuals. No, 3 new characters, 2 new maps, the exact same gameplay will get you that new content that we told you about in 4 months. That's the exact same model Bungie's talking about. Nobody wants that.
So I will tell you the part that hit me the hardest, which is the part that I have on the screen right now, where it's beware of over delivering and creating a pattern. And for me, the reason this hit the hardest is because the way that it's like they're kind of dismissing how over delivering in a game can really bring people back to a game and make people want to stay with the game. And that's kind of the reason why people came back to Destiny in the first place. Games, Forsaken was one of the best DLCs they've ever released, and it got people back into the game, and they're still playing the game to this day. Same thing could happen with Taken King in Destiny 1. They over-delivered and got people back into the game because they knew they had to do something to entice players to come back. And the reason I bring this up, this is what he had to say. He said, and here is the last almost painful realization about train stations. He's talking about how a train, live services are a train on a track, and you can't stop the train because the train has to depart, and sometimes you always got a train coming up behind it. But he talked about, remember back when we said that box products are a business of over-delivery. Over-delivering is actually dangerous for a train station. Whatever release you put out there, you're setting a pattern for your community and your players. If we release an expansion with 2 raids, the next year folks will be upset if there's only 1 raid. We've hurt the train state. We hurt the station by making a rogue decision in 1 train. But at the same time, and this is the painful lesson that we learned, so much of the quality and delight of the craft comes from over delivering, right? From giving folks stuff going above and beyond with the expectation that we still want that. We still want to be surprised and delight and sometimes overwhelm our players, but we need to be more mindful of the patterns and to implement future commitments when we set ourselves apart from each other. This is tough. We have people that want to grapple and make more and exciting, more content for the game, but they have to tell them to stop. Don't do that because it might become a pattern. And I'm like, you are literally telling your developers that want to delight people by maybe wanting to stay an extra week longer to finish this thing that they're putting into the game because they know people will love it. But you're telling them like, no, don't do that. Because if you do that, you're going to set a pattern for people and they're going to expect that all the time. And when I read that, I was like, well, why do we buy games every year? Why does people go out and buy Call of Duty every year when it comes out? They buy it hoping that this year is going to be better than last year. And when you have a live service game where the seasons go 3 months, I'm thinking like, yo, what are they going to put in this season that's going to be better than last season? It's not my fault you signed up to be a live service content creator. That's your job. Your job is to make it so we want to stay and keep playing your game. And the one thing I will give them credit for, they did say earlier in this presentation that they were shocked how long people stayed in the game. Well, the thing is, people will stick with stuff that they love to do. And that was the thing. Once you get a taste of gunplay that is as good as Destiny's gunplay, it's kind of hard to walk away from it. The thing is, they whet your appetite just enough to want to keep you there. And guess what? It's always great for like 5 to 6 months. And then what happens on 5 to 6 weeks. And then on that 6 weeks, you're like, okay, what's next? But they are not delivering on the same thing that they're talking about. They saying we got to be fast. Our velocity has to be great. They're telling people, don't worry about how your game is perceived at launch. That's just the beginning. Where's your game in 12 months? What other games have we heard that from, Slow-Mo? Can you say Sea of Thieves? Sea of Thieves did the same exact thing. The game was bare bones when it came out, and guess what? Now we talk about
literally nothing.
It was nothing to do. And what do we talk about now? Is
collect chickens.
And what do we do in Sea of Thieves? And now we talk about how much content is in Sea of Thieves because this was something that was born over the course of 12 months. So now Bungie is basically telling you this is what you need to do as a developer. You don't need to give this perfect game out the gate. Your game doesn't even have to be finished out the gate. You just got to worry about getting your game out there and worrying about the content delivery over a 12-month span that's going to make your game better by that 12-month part. And then guess what? You rinse and repeat and do it all over again. And that is wow. I don't understand. And like I said, does it work for Bungie? The only reason I don't criticize Bungie to the high heavens because Bungie knows how to make a game and they make a really goddamn good game. The problem is I don't like reading stuff like this because it just makes it feel like as a community member, it's tone deaf. You'd say all of these different things, but yet we don't have new strikes in the game. You say this thing, we got one PvP map over the last 3 years in the game, but you're supposedly bringing consistent content to the game that you're not doing. No, you're servicing the part of the game that can make you the most money, and that's what you've been doing, and they just need to come out there and say that. But, I just don't agree with 98% of the stuff that's in this article. I just don't agree with, and I just don't understand how they can do this. But it's more about how is this going to affect games going forward when it comes to what Sony's making. Because shout out to, I think it was Rob the Don in the chat. He said, unfortunately, I think this strategy will work with Sony's IPs. I think the games as a service games will drop a lot of content and then they will slow drip the consumer. I think this, because guess what?
That's counter to what they are suggesting. They're not suggesting dropping a lot of content because if these games drop with a lot of content, if every expansion drop with a lot of content, there'll be nobody complaining.
Well, I don't think he's talking about. I think he's talking about over the course of time, we will get to the point where they start dropping a bunch of content. But I think this stuff's just going to be bare bones right out the gate. like every other game.
And nobody wants that.
And nobody wants that.
Bare bones out the gate.
Yeah, so I mean,
the last game we saw that was bare bones out the gate was Halo Infinite.
And we know how that turned out.
And we see how that turned out. And part of the other problem with that is that being bare bones out of the gate, their engine was so inefficient, and they themselves also kind of inefficient themselves. They were not able to, even though bare bones out the gate, deliver on content.
Right. Nope, I agree, man.
On a regular basis. And still, they're getting better with delivering content, but it's too late for Halo now.
Oh, I already told you the only way they're gonna fix Halo Infinite is by changing the name and getting a new one. That's the only way they're gonna fix that. I was
about to say something. I ain't gonna say.
That's the only way that game's gonna get. That's the only way people gonna get away from what's going on with that game.
Because we're talking about a live service game. You should show a live service game that you have footage for.
Oh, I should. Okay, I will show that.
Not Destiny, because you can't show Destiny.
No, why you think I didn't show Destiny? Said you can show a live service game that you got footage for. Did you actually?
Aramis says Apex was bare bones. All live service games start bare bones. I would say not all. I think the Division 1 didn't start off bare bones at all. It had a lot of content in it, and it had the Dark Zone, which was completely different and brand new, and that really held people over, like, after they completed a long campaign until literally like maybe less than 2 months after launch, they came out with the Underground and an Incursion. So it's like they dropped like 4 expansions in 1 year.
That is true.
That's a live service game that had a ton of content. Apex though was very new. This was the first battle royale that was like a legit first person shooter. And so it was different. It did things that Fortnite, which, being the king, still kind of the king, but being, growing so quickly as Fortnite wasn't doing. Like Fortnite hasn't, you could thank Apex Legends for Fortnite having reboot stations to reboot your team.
Oh, they had those reboots in there quick too. It was like a week.
Yeah, and that's why Fortnite is so successful. The complete opposite of what Bungie's talking about. Fortnite, Epic is very agile in getting content out and pivoting when they see something work for a rival or a competitor. So Apex Legends launched first-person shooter. They're not doing first-person. That's fine. But the big things they did, the 2 very big things that Fortnite took from Apex immediately, within a month, they had these things in Fortnite. Pinging items that people need in the map, which is great for communication.
Yeah,
because a lot of people are playing and matchmaking, and they got, it's a lot of people who are awful, who have awful microphones. We've all seen it in multiplayer games. Awful microphones, awful etiquette. They're eating on the mic. They're yelling at their family members and friends. A lot of people just turn that stuff off. Aramis says we'll get you a super chat, Aramis. Shout out to Aramis, the $5 super chat. Says, I am glad I quit that job of Destiny and became a gamer again. That is how I felt. That's how I felt. Because it is a job. It's a job,
he
man.
He ain't lying, man. He is.
It is not. You can't play anything else. Because like the way the content, the way the game is designed and set up, you don't have time to play with nothing else. To play anything else. But to get back to what I was saying, it was the pinging of items around the map that other people can pick up that they need, and the reboot station completely changed everything. Because what would happen before, when you play a match, you go in with a squad of 4, your teammates die. If you were playing with people that you were like friends with, and you're the only one left, a lot of people would just quit.
Right.
Now there's the opportunity to get their reboot card, find a reboot station and bring them back. I've had matches where, we all died except for one guy, and he brought us all back and we still won the match. It's an amazing, epic feeling. And that's something that Apex Legends introduced into the genre. And Epic picked it up immediately. Battlefield 2042 introduced a hurricane in their huge, massive map. Within a month, Fortnite had a hurricane.
Yeah, that's true.
If you follow Bungie's format, you would say, nah, it's not worth doing. That's not worth us doing that. Because then we're setting an expectation that when cool things are done by our rivals, that we pick that stuff up immediately. So let's not do that. Like, who does that benefit? Yobi says you meant tornadoes, right? What did I say?
You said
I said
hurricane. You
hurricane?
said hurricanes. I was letting you live. I wasn't gonna question you.
Okay, what a hurricane's over water, right?
Yes, hurricanes are over water. Tornadoes
Okay,
over
tornado.
ground.
Thank you. Y'all knew what I meant, man. I knew what I meant. But no, tornadoes. Like they what Bungie is saying is don't add that stuff in, because you do that, and then now the next time a cool game comes out that has a feature that would be great in your game, your community is going to be expecting you to add that, and now that's an expectation of extra work that you need to do to get done. Think about that for a moment.
Crazy, ain't it?
They're telling people other developers at GDC, do not fulfill expectations of your community.
Unless you have to. unless you at DEFCON 3, you have to save the company. Then do whatever you need to do to save the company.
Do C-level work, not A-level work.
Yeah.
Do the bare minimum. Just get by.
Erodimus tried to give you a bone. He said hurricanes can't be on land. They can't go on land. They turn into tropical storms once they hit land. But they do hit land.
Does it matter?
Ask Florida. Florida has them all the time.
What I'm saying, does it matter? Y'all knew what I meant.
He said he lived.
Tornado, hurricane. I didn't say it was an earthquake. So I mean, like, I was close with my natural disaster.
I think you on the wrong side of the country when it comes to those.
I didn't say it was.
I know.
I didn't say it was.
It's fine. Whatever. You know they're gonna. Just like they get on me, they're gonna get on you. They just get on me more because I do more.
Yes, you do.
Like, I admit it though. So okay. Slow mo.
Mm-hmm.
With that being said, sir, I don't know, man. I don't know how this is how it's going to play itself out. I am more interested than I was before in what Sony's going to do in these games of a service game. And
I have a theory and a hope, but I'm gonna let you finish. Then I'm gonna tell you what my theory and hope is.
No, yeah. I like I said, I'm looking forward to see what they do there, but ultimately, unless Bungie does some soul searching and actually puts the players and just stop playing lip service, because they always say we're listening, but it seems like they only listen, or the perception.
No, they are listening.
No, they are. They are. But the perception. Well, I'll just say
people misconstrue listening with "I'm gonna do what you want." Because I can listen to you, but I don't agree.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying.
I'm not going to do anything about what you asked me to do. So I listened, and I still said whatever. I'm gonna go keep doing me. So yeah, they listening. It's a PR tactic. We're listening. Yeah,
we're listening.
We hear you. Oh, you guys are so frustrated. Oh, we love it. But anyway, yeah, we're listening. Yeah. And we hear what you're saying. and we put it under consideration, and it's not happening. So we're gonna continue on doing what we're doing, but we're listening.
All
Keep
right.
telling us your feedback. Keep letting us know how you feel. Thanks.
So what's your revelation on this?
What I would like is, and this is kind of like a dual thing because I would love for Bungie to fail. So what I would like is this for this new expansion of Bomb, based upon the community finally realizing that they don't appreciate you, which is what I've been saying for years. But a lot of Destiny, hardcore Destiny people just ignore it. But like, you're never getting what you want from them. They have made it a business model to leave you dissatisfied. So don't be buying these $100 expansions from them no more. Like, finally let them feel it with your wallet, because that's the only thing they're going to respect, and it's the only thing the time they're going to change is when you don't buy their nonsense and you don't buy their expansions, and then they'll be like, oh, we got to change. That's when you do it, and I hope that's the case, because then if they bomb with this next expansion, maybe they'll change. Or if they don't change, at least Sony will look at the bombing of their next expansion and go, I mean, look, we already bought you, so it's not like that's going to change, but maybe be mentoring our other studios. Because I don't want those other games to fail.
Right.
Because if they listen to Bungie, they're failing. Because they don't have a built-in community of former hardcore fans of their other IP, not all of them, that are going to be playing this game. Nor is all of these studios making content that's directly like so closely tied to what their old IP was either. Like, Deviation doesn't have that to fall back on. Yeah, they're former Call of Duty developers, but their next game's not Call of Duty. And we don't know if it's going to play like Call of Duty. Naughty Dog might be able to do this with factions, but again, we don't want an incomplete factions. That's so counter to how Naughty Dog does their content. They deliver polished, finished products. That's what we know Naughty Dog to do. And out of all the time that people have had to wait for factions, it being taken out of The Last of Us Part 2, waiting even longer. That game came out in 2019, right?
Yeah.
2020? 2019? 3 years later, still not out. Still no factions. Who, after waiting all this time, wants an incomplete product that you separated from what people thought they were going to get it with, because you said you wanted to make sure it was going to be bigger, better, in everything that you would be expecting, but instead, nah, it's incomplete.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that, man.
Nope, I don't either. So, all right, guys, 30 minutes over. It's a great conversation. Slomo, this had to be the best game of Halo you ever played in your life.
So what?
This had to be the best game of Halo you ever played in your life.
No, I got better.
Man,
I went 17-2 in this match.
Oh, okay.
I've had better matches.
Oh, okay. Just saying. It just looked good. I didn't look like you were struggling for your first game back.
That definitely wasn't.
Either you was playing a bunch of children or you just happened to catch the most sorriest lobby I've ever seen of Halo players.
I told Luca what I thought with this coming back is that I think
They dumped your
the
skill
way
base.
yeah, they dropped me out of the skill based matchmaking because I hadn't played since June, so it's been literally 6 months. So whatever I think they call theirs is called True to Skill. I think that's the name of their
Their algorithm, yeah.
yeah, the algorithm for skill based matchmaking. I think it drops people after a certain period of time. And so I got thrown in with some people who definitely did not need to be anywhere near me. And I'm not bragging or anything. I'm just saying. I mean, it's kind of proof in how it turned out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, it is what it is. I think if I played people more along my skill level, then I would have had a good match, but not 17 kills and 2 deaths kind of match. It was kind of ridiculous, but it was fun. It was fun. It's I think there was no desync issues, which is like had with Halo Infinite, that's been my biggest problem. Is desync.
Yeah.
And I didn't notice I didn't even think about it throughout the entire match. There was nothing like I'm shooting someone and I'm like, yo, this is way too many shots landing and he's not dead yet. Nor do I see his shield or health or anything dropping. Like none of that stuff. Like it was cool.
Oh, well. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to everybody that came through for episode 113. Really, really appreciate you guys. I won't see you on my channel until the new year. We got one more next week on Thursday at Slow Mo's channel, episode 114. He's going, actually, no, I will have one at the very end of the year, won't I? Yeah,
I mean, it depends. It
there's
depends
it depends on
on
what we do. Yeah, as of right now,
yeah, 'cause we're getting close to the
yeah,
holidays.
if we get by the time we get there, I think the Thursday would be like the 29th or something. That it will be back over here the next week on Slow Mo's channel. It's gonna be an amazing time. First of all, we want to say thank you to all of the subscribers that joined today. Want to say thank you for all the super chats. Also, I want to read off the ceremonial list of people that have subscribe to the channel and stuff. So I'll give Slomo a chance to pull that up while I get mine's up. And we really, really appreciate you guys. You guys, really make this easy because you guys always come through. No matter who else is live, you're always over here with us, rocking with us, and we really, really appreciate that. And we can never ask for more incredible people inside the community. But for myself, and I have the list of people right here for all the people that have hit the join button, and there it is, monetization and memberships. And all the members on this channel, we got Texas Lean, we got Mike Andy, we got J-Dab, True Serum, Big Bad Mo, Dragonheart Yobi, Ham from TSWS Gaming, Texas. I'm a Rich Swag Lord, Ramon Terrell, Hargi Chini, Sertash 117, Stardust Acero, Basement Radio Arcade Podcast, Corey Hale, Cat Daddy Lurk. Shout out to Elder. Can't wait for that stream in a couple of weeks. Shout out to Erodimus, always in coming through, and shout out to Erodimus who gifted the first 5 people memberships a couple of weeks ago on the that I named up there. He was the one that gifted those out to those people, so shout out to him for doing that. The homeboy Slow-Mo Backslap, DJ Oris, DJ, or I'm gonna say Acero, DJ Oris, and that guy Smitty. And we really appreciate you guys, and can't wait to keep doing this with you guys. Slow-Mo, what about you?
I got Cat Daddy Jerk. I'm sorry, Lurk. Cat Daddy Lurk. Dragonheart Yobi. Enrique Hargi Shani, Texas. Ham from TSWS. Truth Serum. Big Mike. Erodimus. Ramon Terrell. Homie One Kenobi. Bunty. Sertaz. Forte. Corey Hale. Stardust Acero. And that guy, Smitty. We do appreciate you guys choosing to support us in this way. It's greatly appreciated. We love our community, and we love to see you guys and your intelligent opinions in the chat every week. And we're looking forward to doing much more with you guys and going into the next year. When it comes for me, I'm gonna just say this real quick. Like I'm gonna be dropping more content, going live with Lunchtime with Slow Mo a lot more. And I'm already kind of like working on a couple of things to get back into the swing of things with uploading content. So I know I've said this multiple times, but like it's real this time. I'm serious. It's real this time. So yeah, it's coming through real soon. So appreciate you guys, and and hope you guys enjoy the content.
Don't
coming.
hold your breath.
Stop it.
You might die from fixation. No, shout out to you guys. Really appreciate it. And we will see you guys next week on Mr. Slomo / channel. Going to be a great time. And we will see you guys in the next week. Have a good weekend. Enjoy the games you're playing. Enjoy everything else. And we'll see you later. Peace.
Yo. Well, I think their statements kill them enough for everybody themselves. I mean, they, so what I'm gonna do is I am going to I actually need because I'm not quite certain if I install the free version of Modern Warfare 2 on